Wall Street Unplugged looks beyond the regular headlines heard on mainstream financial media to bring you unscripted interviews and breaking commentary direct from Wall Street right to you on Main Street.
How's it going out there? It's February 5th. I'm Frank Curzio, the Wall Street Unplugged podcast. I break down headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. A little under the weather today, but have my boy Daniel Creech, who's going to help me through this podcast to talk about lots of things, and plus talk about the Super Bowl pick.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the ultimate guarantee. If you do the opposite of what I say, it's the ultimate absolute win bet. I shouldn't say absolute because I think it's...
I was going to say, you got to be...
12 out of 14, I think clarify. I lost, which is what I won because I tell everyone that I suck at it. So, yeah, I'm going to go over that.
What you have to make sure is, and you were transparent when you went against yourself because you're Eagles, but you have to make sure you're telling people either take the opposite or don't take the opposite this time. That's the only thing you got to make sure. Is this year again the opposite? Because the one year you did it,
should always be the opposite.
But the one year you changed it up and you were right because you're Eagles a few years ago.
And now the Eagles are in it again.
That's what I'm saying. So are you going to...
I don't know. You got to listen.
Oh, okay.
You got to listen, buddy.
Look at that, people. Inside information that doesn't exist.
See, we don't
here.
know. We just talk here. We don't have like everything all scripted down. We have a couple topics. We don't know what we're going to say.
People are watching this and go, do these guys talk to each other?
Yeah, these guys actually hang out. Do they like each other? Yeah, Daniel's all right. He's okay. So I heard you got some Eagles tickets, right?
Oh, gosh.
Favorite, not Eagles, the wrong Eagles.
Yeah, well, depends on what side you're on. Listen to Frank. So I am complaining, and email me, daniel@curzioresearch.com. I am being a crybaby because I have the opportunity to go watch the Eagles, the band, in Las Vegas at the Sphere. And my knee-jerk reaction was absolutely I'll go because I live in Florida, major airlines, you fly into Vegas and back, can't be that difficult. Oh, Frank, I probably wouldn't have accepted the ticket if I would have looked at ticket prices first. So flights.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay to spend money on a hotel and treat myself a little bit. Whatever. You can justify anything. But looking at Comfort Plus, just not basic because I'm 6'6" and I'm not being funny here, but I don't fit on airplanes well. So I'd love to fly first class, but Comfort Class is more reasonable. $1,500 on Delta to leave, not at a favorable time on a Friday and get back on Sunday.
And this is when? For when?
April.
So
I'm looking at mid-April, right around tax time, actually. And what's crazy is I check prices out of Orlando from United, Southwest, American, and Delta. And while Delta is by far the most expensive, there's no quote-unquote deals. So this is just a reassurance that I've joked with everybody that I've been dead wrong on the airline stocks. They're now trading at or near all-time highs. I missed that. I was wrong. I thought people were going to stop paying this. Clearly, they have not because I'm about to break down and pay astronomical flights
and this is
for
Delta,
a shitty
right?
flight to go to Vegas for 2 nights.
And this is Delta?
Well, yeah, I'm probably going to end up using Delta because I basically have to now.
Why don't you sign up for that card? They give you like 100,000 points, don't they?
Yeah, I did that last year. They got me. And then they charge you $600 a year to use. It's not worth it. So yeah, I'm humbled. Daniel Creech is a humbled low spender. I'm not going to be on the Amex. Look at the stock though.
Yeah, I mean, we got out Delta way too early. You know, that was on me. Oh, I mean, they have such pricing power and they do. Like from where we fly in Florida, their hub is in Atlanta, so you're always on like a good airplane, not on one of the old ones, for some reason. And when I fly, I don't fly Delta anymore because it's literally, it's twice the price compared to everything else. And I'm just like, just deal with it. And I do have miles and stuff like that, but it's great.
Oh, you do?
So much. Oh, I do. Daniel, there you go. I don't know if you can trade some miles.
Those miles are, a lot of people call me Frank Curzio every once in a while. I work for you. I could pass it off.
If I could pass on the miles, I could. I don't know if you can. I don't know if I even pass on the miles. So if I do, this way you go. It is the Eagles. If it was the other Eagles, I'd say you're giving me the tickets.
Exactly. I would.
Yeah, for those Eagles, you're fine. That's cool.
Anyway.
So there's a lot to talk about. We'll get to Super Bowl pick in a little while. But I want to start off first with move the markets, right? We saw crypto absolutely crash because, tariffs, and it's come back a little bit, but still altcoins have come down. We just had our event saying, hey, altcoins are going to go through the roof and stuff like that. And we were very careful saying, listen, make sure you're taking small positions because you're going to see the volatility in it. And I'm pretty excited because a lot of these names have come down. But even before that, Daniel, I want to start off with this email that was sent to me because it goes into the heart of a lot of things, and this is a good guy. His name is Martin's from Montreal, Canada. And I just want to read this email because I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. So he goes, hey, Frank, I'm a Canadian who's listening to your podcast since 5 years. I'm always interested to hear your point of view. Today, President Trump, and this is like 3-4 days ago, President Trump decided to go to war with Canada, an economic war, but still, this is a war. I cannot understand why you are happy about that. This would be great suffering for all Canadians and for Americans also. We live in a great era. Why sabotage all of this? What is the goal of that? You want to impose all this. Stay in the U.S. If we cannot be a partner, better not to have you at all in our life. Not everything in life is about money or making money in the back of everybody else. Playing basketball with friends is still a pleasure that is not about money. Unfortunately, about to cancel my subscription, Martin. And I want to talk about the emotions behind this because we said the same thing with tariffs last time, right? We said, just buy the dip on tariffs. A lot of it's just like, noise, right? And I know it doesn't appear like noise because of the media and the mainstream media. I feel like they're anti-American, right? Because, we're looking to provide a safer U.S., right? So we want to go to the people on our borders and the countries on our borders and say, listen, we don't want fentanyl in here, right? Which should be in your best interest anyway, right? Which you should be doing anyway, and you're not, even though you sell a ton of goods to us, even though you need us tremendously, right? So it's not like we're asking for Canada to start sending us free oil and natural gas because we're more powerful than you. We're not. We're asking you to do something that I think you should be doing already, right? And that's how I feel about this. I think most Americans feel like this, but for some reason, the mainstream media is always like this, this trade war is going to develop. And we saw the same thing in 2018, and I got the same shit for it when I said, guys, just buy the shit out of the stocks. Buy them. They went down 15, 20%. If you bought them, you're up tremendously, right? And I explained, I had a 15-page free report that I sent out. That was the most downloaded report that we had. And I got to tell you, 80% of the people that emailed me were just destroying me. Okay. Stop listening to the fucking media, please. Okay. Because at the end of the day, we don't want this. We don't want tariffs. It's not as good. You saw what happened to our markets. You saw what happened to risk assets. You saw what happened, right? It's not good. But when we really push that issue as, hey, this is a fucking done deal, you see what happens just 24 hours later as both of them bent the knee. I hate saying that because it sounds like you're kissing, you're not, but both of you setting up when it comes to Mexico and Canada and saying, hey, okay, we're going to secure the borders. I get it. What do you have a special czar, you have 10,000 troops, whatever, right? Isn't that good for fucking everybody? Isn't it? So, I know the media and the mainstream media is what we listen to. And it's even, Dan, you talk about the Wall Street Journal, it's almost becoming unreadable, right? We saw that with MSNBC, we saw it with CNN.
It's fun.
We see a lot of the bullshit where, you label Trump a Nazi, a fascist, right? The only fascist in the world that to lower government spending, by the way, which is go figure. This guy's going to destroy everything, right? He's a racist. He's everything. But if you're looking for what we want in America, and I think every family, even if you're a Democrat or Republican, you want a safe place for your children and you want a better place for your children to grow up in. Okay. So you're removing a lot of these programs and everything. It's not like Trump is, even people that vote him, they know he's out there. It's like shut your mouth sometimes and we get it. But for me personally, when I see this, when I see what happened to my daughters and they forced me to take my daughters out of a public school because they were teaching black girls, black boys, young kids to hate white people, right? They're talking about stuff from 40, 50 years ago. They were teaching them that, George Washington and Lincoln are racists. They were, teaching them about transgender stuff when I'm like, please, why are my kids learning this shit to the point I had to move them and I'm paying an absolute fortune for them to go in freaking private school because I don't know shit about private schools. I never went to private schools when I was little and I didn't know, and I put them into like the best private school, which cost me a fucking fortune, by the way, right? So I'm pretty pissed about that, all because, having CNN on during COVID. This is an administration that suppressed me during fucking COVID, when I'm trying to help people, had nothing to do with stocks, had nothing to do with views. I'm like, look, I'm getting information in January, in February, before the market crashed. This is why we were able to remove a lot of our stocks and say, listen, stay on the fucking sidelines. You're going to get crushed because it's just going to hit the U.S. Nobody realizes it because of the information, because leading doctors from around the world were freaking emailing me. And telling me the statistics, which, by the way, not one child under 12 years old without underlying conditions died of fucking COVID. Did you know that? That's a stat. Not one child, yet they force it down your freaking throat, right? Just like they forced this stuff with tariffs down your freaking throat. Oh my God, it's terrible. Your country's, think about, Martin, think about it. If you're looking at the email that you sent me in a few days went from Canada is going to see huge suffering, I'm canceling your subscription, to now you're okay. We're good. Okay, spend it for 30 days because he wants to see if you guys are actually going to act on it. If you do, it's fine, right? So you want to create this end of the world shit because it stirs up this anger and this, you're going to be pissed off. And look, if you want to cancel your subscription, cancel. It's up to you. It's a free nation, free country. It's easy. We're not like Disney where it'll probably take you 4 days to fucking cancel your subscription. That's why more people are. We'll talk about Disney in a minute. You can't cancel that subscription. They just don't fucking.
We ought to pull a Disney.
You got to go. If you
want to cancel, try
to cancel. You'll never cancel. Believe me, there'll be a lot more cancellations than what else the 700,000 that they had because they're raising prices and they don't have a lot of good new content. But I'll get to that in a minute. But listen, that's up to you if you want to do it. It's not like I'm happy. It's not like I want to see suffering. It's just I want our kids to be freaking safe, right? And you have to push that issue in negotiation where, hey, this is what we're going to do unless you do this. Again, we're not asking for crazy shit here. And you want to listen to your media channel, whatever. For us, it's about our children. It's about being safer. It's about having a safer nation. I mean, why is so much fucking fentanyl coming into this country anyway? Why is that possible? Like, how are the cocaine dealers, which is an organized crime unit that's set up with our government to say, hey, this amount of cocaine is going to go in and just bust this amount, right? Because it's going to come in no matter what, right? So all this shit's going on behind the scenes. I can't believe like all the cartels are not just because fentanyl is resulting in look at the borders now. You know how hard it's going to get any drug over the freaking border now. I mean, I'm surprised they're even allowing it because it's killing their trade, which is a trade that will be around forever and ever because more Americans love cocaine more than anything in the fucking world and they have the money to spend on it. So I'm surprised they didn't go after the fucking fentanyl people and say, stop selling this shit because you're going to close down our business too, which is almost as big as the oil industry. When you watch Landman, you probably know that. It's pretty crazy.
I've heard good things about
that. Great show. How, hey, we're not going to bother you guys if you don't bother us. Okay. We sell a product just like you, except ours is much, much bigger. Well, so you can do your drugs. We don't want to know about it. You can sell your drugs. We don't want to know about it. And, you leave us alone, everything will be fine. But, look, if you want to cancel. But the tariff thing, I know when you listen to media and China and all this shit, listen, China's been, China is responsible for murdering millions of people because of this virus. They didn't let who go in there. They didn't let anyone go in there. They denied it. They lied about everything, right? And they never got punished for it. It's because of them. So many millions of people died that we weren't prepared for this. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars wasted, if not trillions. Look what it caused. So, when you have this and you have the United States, which is the biggest country in the world, and we spend the most money, everyone wants to sell our goods to us. There's certain things that we want, especially when our taxpayer money is going to other countries. Name another country whose taxpayer monies go to another country. Is there one out there? Do we get any taxpayers' money from anybody else? Do we get other people's? Like our taxpayer money is going to shit that we don't even know about. It's going to Ukraine, and it's like this guy's trying to start World War III. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? I mean, there's got to be some kind of solution. It seemed like both of them wanted to solve this. Both of them admit, say, hey, we didn't want to go to war. We didn't want this to happen, and yet it happened. So it's crazy when you look under the hood about all this shit. But at the end of the day, I think everybody just wants to be safer. And look, if that bothers you, who I like or who I voted for, I've always been a Republican. I don't hate Democrats. I just, some of these policies and these left policies that the Democrats are forced to follow through in order to beat Donald Trump last election. I mean, I didn't think you would really follow through on a lot of this shit, which impacts our fucking kids, right? Which really impacts our kids. And enough's enough. So look. I don't care who you vote for. It's free country. I don't care who you like. If you want to cancel your subscription because of that, just try to calm down a little bit. Okay. It's not the end of Canada. Everything's okay today. You went from a couple of days, oh my God, all the suffering, it's crazy. And I know, Martin, you're a good guy, but still, if that results, you're right. There's more important things than money, but this podcast is about making money. That's what people listen to. They listen to the stories and everything else. And I'll tell people, listen, this might be a vice stock. So, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you don't believe in this, don't believe in it. But my job is to try to make you money to make sure that your family is going to be taken care of, that you're going to create generational wealth. And that's what I truly want to do for you. Right? Because everything out there that shows you how to do it is such fucking bullshit, right? They just take your fucking money from you. I mean, with all the SPACs and all this bullshit, I'm like, Jesus, you don't even get punished in our industry. You don't. One person went to jail for the credit crisis. Are you kidding me? You know how much fraud? All this shit, subsidies behind the scenes. The Fed had no fucking idea. The Fed's like, who's AIG? What? AIG has all this shit. What? They have all the paper. What? What's going on? I mean, give me a break. So for us, that's what we're trying to do here. Level the playing field so you guys do well. You have generational wealth so your kids don't have to worry. That's what we focus on with our products. So again, if the political views bother you, that's okay. I don't mind your political views. That's cool. I love talking politics. But just that left and how far left they went, it impacted me personally, impacted my family. I mean, Steve Kerr was coach of of the Warriors came out and said, I hate Trump because of guns, because, I don't know if it was his dad was murdered by, that's a personal thing, right? You're never going to be able to change that. So everyone has their personal beliefs of who they're going to vote for and whatever. You're not going to change them. You're free to vote for whoever you want. But when it comes to this tariff shit, guys, buy it. Every time we see things sell off on a tariff, please buy it. We've been telling you that for so long. You would have made so much money. We told you about this. And I got similar emails last time. Just, again, it's not really in our best interest. But when we push the issue, everyone's going to bend the knee because of how much money they fucking make by selling their goods and services here. We just want safety. We want a couple things here. Why are we funding so much in so many countries when you guys are not doing the right thing by protecting us? Some of these countries. I'm not saying America's great and we're doing the right thing, right? We're fucked up too, but we're in that position to be like, this is what we want and we want it. And you guys aren't in a position to say no. Because if you do, this is what happens. Well, we're going to place tariffs on you and destroy your economy. Okay, now it's not pushing the issue where we want free stuff and we're bullying and stuff like that. That's different. I think a lot of Americans would speak out for that in a heartbeat. But again, everyone has different views, guys. I don't want this to be a political podcast. I want it to be about making money. But I understand. If you want to cancel, go to our website, look at the bottom. Pretty easy. Again, it's not Disney. It'll be very, 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 very easy for you to cancel. And you can actually call. We have a phone number, which 90% of websites don't have a phone number to cancel anymore. You got to send an email. You got to do this. You got to do that. All this shit. It's crazy. We make it very easy. Anyway, that's my rant on tariffs.
I hope the women in Canada that you were telling me about, like me, are still okay with us. So hopefully we don't lose them as subscribers. We can't lose all our Canadian friends.
All Canadian friends? Yeah, not all.
Hey. Anyway,
no, so quickly Canada, I'm mining sector and everything. I'm in Canada all the time. I love Canada.
You don't have to justify. Nobody thinks you don't like Canadians, Frank. I did see a great meme on the internet that had Barron Trump leaning over to Donald Trump and saying the North Mexicans are upset. Time to rename Lake Ontario. If you can't laugh, that's just hilarious. Anybody. Quickly on tariffs, the Wall Street Journal had a fantastic incorrect headline. And listen, I got to give them credit for going out on a limb here. Everybody's in the marketing business, whether you admit it or not. They had the headline, the dumbest trade war ever, or something like that. It should have been the shortest trade war ever, since we have this 30-day postponement here. If you don't understand, I'm not trying to sound like a know-it-all here, but let me just give you 2 cents of value. Nobody understood, and I mean nobody in the media understood Trump during his first term. Nobody learned a single thing, evidently. If you don't believe that this guy is going to follow through with a lot of the stuff he says, then you're just going to continue to be shocked and continue to get upset, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. The point is, the knee-jerk reaction that I want everybody to be aware of and go against is whatever Trump says is bad, is the knee-jerk reaction, and then it's luck if it falls his way. So Trump's going to do tariffs, and Trump, Frank, is a big fan of President William McKinley. Have you ever heard him talk about that? The Napoleon of protection and all this kind of stuff. And there was this act in 1890 with the McKinley tariffs and this kind of stuff. And I've been reading a little bit about this. And President McKinley didn't actually come into office until 1896, if memory serves me correct. But let me paint the picture here and explain the difference in environments, which is key. Frank, if I were to tell you that tariffs in the 1890s, when this was packed, went from 38% to 49.5%, okay? That's a hell of a jump, 38 to 49. 38 starting. Now, I was using AI and the most sophisticated chatbots and technology that we have at our fingertips, Frank, and it is damn near impossible to get a clear reading on tariffs around right now. I'm opening this up to the internet. Email me, Daniel@CurzioResearch.com, because the intranet is undefeated and will remain so. So everybody can send me great stuff about current. Before yesterday, February 4th, tariffs from Chinese, imports, exports, and all that kind of stuff. The main point is we are nowhere near at 30-some% right now as it was back when everybody likes to talk about this. And they're not going anywhere near up to 50%. Yes, Trump can pull out numbers all over. It is a negotiating leverage tool, and it works. If you want to continue to be fearful and sell everything, that's fine. Frank has said, not patting him on the back. He was correct on buying the dips. We've been correct on buying the dips so far. Nothing has changed there other than the stone throwing, which is entertaining at times.
Definitely entertaining at times. Definitely. So we talk about tariffs. We open up with politics a little bit, but in all seriousness, I mean, we're talking about tariffs because, just buy the dip on the tariffs. It's definitely worth it. So, and I think you guys would do well on that. And plus, if we talk about crypto really, really got hit. Bitcoin fell sharply, but all coins really got hit. And we saw the Trump token's now down. I just wrote this down, is down from $70 to $20, and the Millennia token's down from 12 to 170. Again, these are bullshit tokens, right? We got all these meme tokens and shit, and this is what the washout is going to do. We want this to be washed out, right? Because when you look at the next 100, 200, which we're talking about, and some of those got hit 20%, right? And some came back a little bit, but they're still down. And by the way, the sell-off, like dollar-wise, is one of the biggest sell-offs we've seen in a 48-hour period in crypto, right, ever. But the next 100 to 200, these are names that I've been looking at where they challenge the Visa MasterCards. They challenge like the recruiting services, Indeed.com and all this stuff. They challenge them, and they never really, they're all developed. You have a lot of the biggest companies using them, right? And it's just across DeFi platforms, payment platforms, and disrupting banks and stuff like that. But you've never seen them really get a ton of money pushed into them because there was no laws around this, and all this stuff is coming. And when this comes, you're going to see these technologies that are so freaking amazing that I've been looking at the next 200. So if you're going to get into some of these altcoins, we have about 20, 22 in our portfolio. I'm recommending another one today for our crypto intelligent shareholders. We provided a special discount for that the other day. These names you're going to see are going to disrupt so many freaking industries, especially now that you're going to have a framework. Now, it's not going to happen right away, the framework. It's happening, but maybe we see a Bitcoin reserve, which I talked about. If that's the case, you're going to see Bitcoin go to 500,000 plus probably in the next 2 years, probably even higher. And I went over the math of why that happened during our event, which we had, what was it, like 4 or 5 days ago. And it's incredible when you look at the dynamics and how much money is going in. We're not even talking about Czechoslovakia. They said they want to push money into it. We're not talking about Europe. They're going to use it as a Bitcoin strategic reserve. I mean, that's not even on the table. Just the amount of Bitcoin that's being produced is so little every day compared to how much demand is going to be that it's going to send it much higher. And as it goes higher, think as oil goes higher. As oil goes higher to $300 a barrel, you're going to see a lot of shit go higher. And even the decent names and mid caps, they're all going to go higher with it. You're starting to see it with gold. You're finally starting to see junior miners turn around a little bit, right? You were surprised. We're at 2,500, new record, 26, 28, going to 3,000, different. Going to 3,500, junior miners are going to go up 2x, 3x. We're positioned in a lot of those names as well. Same thing with Bitcoin. As Bitcoin goes higher and we get these laws in place, and this whole entire structure in place, you're going to see these fascinating technologies that I've been researching for 7, 8 years that are funded by Anderson Horowitz, funded by Coinbase Ventures, the biggest venture capitalists, hedge funds out there. But now you're going to see tons of money pour into this. I think, who was it? Grayscale just announced they're going to, I think they filed for a Doge ETF, right? So you're going to see more ETFs, not just around Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're going to be like structured around all of these things because now it's going to be regulated, and that's where you have the money coming in. Because if you think, the $100 trillion in asset under management, which BlackRock says people should have a 2% allocation, right? Just that alone is one major freaking catalyst. We'll talk about the tax structure being changed and more companies putting it on their balance sheet now to make it easier. Now it's going to be seen as a regular asset, not an intangible asset, with the accounting rules changing. When you see all these catalysts that are coming, it's really incredible to see. If you have a 12-month runway and going forward, this is going to happen in the next few years. It's incredible where Bitcoin's going to go, where these technologies are going to go, where the next 100, 200 altcoins are going to go, because these are fascinating technologies, finally, that you're going to see a lot of money be pushed into this, especially from those institutions. That money, that 2%, not just going to go to Bitcoin, because everyone has Bitcoin or whatever, and that's going higher. They're going to want to get into other aspects of crypto, especially now you have the regulatory format around it. And that's going to get really, really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly, I mean, I will say I was a little surprised on the big pullback in some of the altcoins, but it does make sense because right now we still wear this hat in the crypto community of risk on, risk off. So if risk on is good, Frank, everything is basically green. If risk off is bad, everything is red. At some point, I wish I knew exactly when, that will diverge, and you will have coins, cryptos like stocks that trade independently versus just, hey, futures are up, Frank, everybody's good, let's go golfing. What I am surprised about a little bit is the excitement is right there, but we want everything yesterday. And so, Frank, I don't know if you saw any of the press conference yesterday between crypto czar David Sachs, Tim Scott, and some other representatives. But essentially, and this is Daniel Creech's opinion, but the Bitcoin community got so excited, the crypto community got so excited with President Trump for good reason, and they want everything to be done already, Frank. We already want a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We already want clarity at the SEC. We already want all this kind of stuff. And basically, you've got nothing. Now, from a legislative standpoint, Trump signs executive orders. There was some good language yesterday from David Sachs about reviewing and not kind of looking into, I apologize, can't think of the word, looking into a Bitcoin strategic reserve. They said that is one of the top tasks for this crypto task force. Hester Pierce or Purse, I constantly butcher her name.
Yeah,
she put out a great statement yesterday that I was reading through, and she lays out several points from security status, coin and token offering, registration offering, this crypto task force. I encourage you guys to look at sec.gov and what she put on there. It was a great piece just yesterday. But my point is that when you look at the first 100 days of any presidency, that's an exciting time. And you want to get as much done. You want to have one big piece of legislation at least, because you want to show the voters, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why you put me in office. Also, Frank, what does every election and politician think about? The next election. So midterms are on everybody's mind, of course. My whole point is something will get done. What's amazing here is the risk have changed from, is the government going to allow us and help us or attack us, to how much is the government going to do for us, Frank? And I think that's a huge paradigm shift. Within the first 100 days, I would look at this as an accumulation phase. I would listen to Frank about scaling into your positions over time due to volatility, because I think you have to go way out on a limb and hand an idiot a saw, Frank, if you think that after President Trump's done his executive orders, all the hype he's talked about, pardoning Ross Ulbricht, which was a big deal in the crypto community, if you think that in the first 100 days, there's not going to be any legislation passed on any clarity or anything at the SEC, I just agree to disagree. And I think that this is a time to use that volatility to your advantage and buy some of those assets, because, like I said, the risk has shifted from, is the government going to shut crypto down completely, or are they going to do enough to please us? And that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, for crypto, buying this dip, adding to positions here, we take small position size at the beginning and we wait for this, because there's always volatility. And we like that. We like that volatility because it allows us to add to these positions when they come down. Lots of traders will be like, don't ever add to positions. This is what we've done with crypto. This is what works for us. Okay, crypto's a different animal. People want to limit their losses. If you want to put a stop loss on crypto of 30%, you'd be out of every crypto position. You'd never have a winner. Okay, that's how volatile it is. That's why it's very speculative, right? But it deserves a percentage of your speculative money, because the gains that you could see are not 2x, 3x. When you see the mining cycle, junior mining cycle, and sometimes the biotech cycle with small biotech stocks where you get 2x, 3x, 4x winners, this is 10x, 20x, 30x. We've showed those gains even on the presentation of what we made in the past. Something was up 40x, 30x. The portfolio, this is how these things move and why it deserves a percentage of portfolio. And now you're getting a lot of these things really, really at a good discount because of just this massive sell-off, mostly from tariffs, which reversed, right? So maybe you see a lot more money come into this thing, especially these altcoins as the regulations come. So really, really good stuff. I wanted to talk about some stocks because it is earnings season and one of the busiest weeks in earnings season, right? For S&P 500. Not a lot of big names reported already, but
not only that, but two of your favorite names have reported.
Two of my favorite names. So
I was waiting along with everybody else to hear this.
Let's start with Disney. Disney's down 1% on earnings. Easily beat the earnings. All divisions were pretty strong. Entertainment division lighter than expected. Also, they shed subscribers, which it's good that companies are very good to do this. Okay, even I think EA reported, and it's up like 2-3% after last week or the week before, whatever they pre-announced the numbers and the stock crash, right? So its expectations is such a big fucking deal when it comes to stocks and earnings. It's such a big deal. That's why Google, which I'm going to cover tomorrow in depth, because there's a lot of great stuff I want to talk about that. That's what we do on our premium podcast. We really dig in and give recommendation and trades and stuff like that. That's a premium podcast Daniel and I do every Thursday. So you can go to CurzioResearch.com to subscribe to that. I think it's $10 a month. It's really, really cheap. And it's, again, we give lots of recommendations and go in depth. So I'm going to talk about Google because Google's up tremendously and it's down 7% on earnings that were pretty good, but the expectations were very, very high, and that's okay. With Disney expectations, well, hey, we're going to lose subscribers, which, everyone's like, okay, we're ready for it. Why? Because they're raising prices. And I still think that's a huge negative and why the stock's down today, even though they're easily beaten. There's two reasons why the stock's a little bit down today. It's been flirting going up and down between a day. But it should be up a lot more because they easily beat estimates. The reason is they're shedding subscribers when Netflix just out of nowhere added 18 million in a quarter, which was insane. It was supposed to add like 5 million, right? So they're adding while Disney's losing. The other reason is they easily beat earnings. But yet, if you easily beat earnings and you don't raise full year guidance, that's a problem. That means, okay, we're cutting costs or it's just... So if you beat earnings by 10% this quarter, if you're expecting $1 and you go to $1.10, you should be able to raise full year estimates by 10 cents. If you meet estimates. So what they're basically saying by not raising estimates is the estimates are going to be a little bit lower. Okay, because expectations just went up a lot for Disney because they did pretty cool. It was, overall it was a solid quarter. I just continue to hate the company's growth strategy. And it's simple. When I look at Google, Meta, Apple, they have cloud growing services, advertising, killing it. They all have growth initiatives. Disney's growth strategy is raising prices. That's it. That's their growth strategy. We're going to raise prices. And that's not a sustainable growth strategy when we're going through inflation. Inflation's coming back a little bit. Yeah, it's not a sustainable business model, especially when you're raising prices on a service that is not a premium service compared to everything else out there. Not even close. I mean, they lack new content to really get people to that platform compared to what? Netflix. What did we just see? Squid Game season 2 coming out. New season of Stranger Things. You have HBO Max, Prime, Apple, Paramount. Paramount has really been killing it. I mean, I'm going to look at the numbers. I know they have a ton of debt and stuff like that. Maybe a buy here because I can't picture them not adding lots of subscribers because the content with Landman is awesome. We just talked about Yellowstone, of course, was last season. And maybe this spinoffs like 1923. The new Dexter is awesome. The new Dexter when he was younger was fantastic. So Paramount's really killing it right now. And that's what you want to see. That's going to make you like, they have Landmans all over TikTok. And you see these clips, they have 2-minute clips and they're funny. And you're like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And then you're going to subscribe to this service. They do a great job. By the way, I'm going to make a prediction here.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to make a prediction here. I don't know who it's going to impact, if it's Apple, if it's AT&T, or Verizon. But my daughter just told me this, which I found amazing. And I'm hearing this now because I know about 5 people this happened to. So what happens when you break your phone? When you break your phone, Verizon, AT&T are saying that you can go there and trade your phone in for free. And we're going to give you this. I'm going to give you this and this and this and all this stuff, right? And they sign you up to a 2-year contract. And we're going to give you an iPad and all this shit, right? When you transfer the data over, which is a normal procedure, right? Sometimes it could take an hour, sometimes it takes 15 minutes. When you transfer all your data, because it's on the cloud, over to that new phone, all the apps get uploaded. You know what app's not getting uploaded? TikTok. TikTok doesn't get uploaded. You lose TikTok. Could it be forever? You're going to lose it, but you're not going to have it for a while. And my daughter, I don't know why she took it off her phone because it got whatever. She was like, oh, let me just take it off her phone. And she said, oh, I didn't have enough storage. I'm like, why didn't you just buy more cloud? But since she thought it was going to get canceled, as soon as it got canceled for one day, she's like, let me just get rid of it. So I don't know why she did it. She can't get it back. Yeah. So she looked online. She said the phones when you have TikTok installed already, they're going for like $10,000.
Yeah. EA that you mentioned was actually encouraging people to bring if you have that, bring it in and resell it here.
Yeah. So, and I know 2 other people that said like, I have it on my old phone. I don't have it on my new phone.
So what's your prediction? You're going to sell a phone for 10 grand?
I mean, TikTok, you don't understand how powerful that brand is. Like people really miss it. They love it. That's like their top app that they look at all the time. And now they might not be trading. Now they know what it's going around and saying, whoa. Because now their friends are telling them saying, wait, you're going to trade in your phone right now? Don't fucking do it because you're going to lose TikTok. A lot of people, I'm not kidding you. A lot of people, like especially young kids, these are people who love the new phones. They're going to be like, whoa, all right, I'm not doing it. Yeah. I'm going to wait. And that could take 3-4 months. But I'm just saying.
So it could slow down the recycle.
It could slow down the recycle of it. I'm just saying because people thought I was crazy when I said that the GLP-1s, when you're seeing, McDonald's, how it impacted. When you're seeing Hershey's. They're reporting tomorrow. How Hershey's stock doesn't go up tomorrow would amaze me. Would absolutely amaze me because the stock is getting annihilated. And yeah, cocoa prices are high and stuff like that. But it's, people are like, no, it's not GLP. It is. It is. People are not eating as much sugar. They're not because of these drugs, these wonder drugs where they're losing 30 pounds in 3 months. Right. And believe me, I was really heavy it's hard to lose fucking weight sometimes, to work out, go crazy. But if you could take these things and lose weight, which people are doing, they're going to do it. And it results in you not going crazy and eating those crazy things that you used to eat. So, seriously, just little things like that. You might not think it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Pretty much it is. So when I get back to Disney here, I looked at the top streaming series for 2024. And you know what they were? Family Guy and Grey's Anatomy. I mean, these are things that have been around forever, right? What about the new content? Moana was good, streamed like over a billion streaming hours, but that content, Moana 2 came out and they did great at the box office, but it comes out in the movies first. So, when I look at Disney, decent quarter, I still hate that growth strategy and I like other companies much, much better. Like I said, that have been significantly outperformed Disney. Disney over the past 3 months, if you look from November 15th on, it's traded sideways. It's actually down a little bit. I mean, we're talking, 3 months. For the past 3 months, it's been trading sideways. So it could go a little bit higher. Yes, I think wherever it is, it's not that far. Let me look really quick.
115-ish.
So it's 115. And I think that it's 112. And the 52-week high is 123, right? But it's like, so if it's 123, it's a 52-week high. It's great. It's great. It's great. It almost pushed up against that 3 months ago and then came down. But it's kind of like this sideways pattern. But, for me, Meta, Google we're going to talk about Palantir. We told you for how long Palantir is going to $100. We told you. Okay. And the only reason why I knew that is because of the mistakes I made with Netflix, where people do not understand their total addressable market is 10 times what anyone's saying. Okay, it's $2 billion alone, their total addressable market, just for oil. And they figured out how big companies can use AI, lower their costs tremendously, increase productivity, which means increase profits, and they have the formula. They're one of the companies that has the formula, which every single S&P 500 company wants. Okay, so when I look at it that way, for me with Palantir, we'll talk about tomorrow too. But Disney right here, is it a buy? Look, if you own it, I wouldn't tell you to sell it because the quarter's okay. They're managing the business okay. You're seeing, growth. I think ESPN's really good because, they have the agreement with Penn National with betting now. Betting's like forced down your throat, right? They don't care about, they're killing people with betting. Everything's betting. I remember when sports, like no betting and commercials. Now they're like, you got to bet right now, right this second, which is pretty crazy. But I think that's doing a little bit well too because of that. Their division, which Disney has always been great at, is, the movie division and the marketing division, right? And the storytelling. And they've come out with a lot of blockbusters over the past 6 months. When I don't know if it's going to get better from the blockbuster front. You talk about Inside Out 2, Deadpool, Moana 2, $1 billion. And they come out with a quarter where the stock's down. And you're losing subscribers for streaming, which is going to continue. So for me, there's other companies that are much better that you could get access to streaming, whether it's through Amazon that has all these catalysts, right? When it comes to cloud, when it comes to AI, which, Walt Disney doesn't have, even when it comes to YouTube. Did you see the numbers for YouTube? It's the only thing I'm going to say about Google.
Yeah, they were good.
So YouTube ad sales at $10 billion. Mm-hmm. Okay, $10 billion for the quarter. Do you know that's what Netflix reported for the quarter? $10 billion.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And Netflix, $450 billion market cap? That's how big Google is. That's how big Google is. And that one little division is bigger than Netflix completely, which tells you Netflix really, to get to the $1 trillion level, needs to do something else more than just advertising. They need to get into something else that's very, very big. Yes, it's advertising. They're going to do well advertising, but really get to the $1 trillion. What's the next business? What's the next thing that they're going to do to get into that? Just like, Meta and Apple and all these companies, Google, right? Oracle, getting into cloud, getting into AI. What's the next, big thing for them? So, I look at Disney right here. Wasn't a terrible quarter, but they're going to continue to shed subscribers, which is one of their KPIs, key performance indicators. And when they do that, you're going to see this constant like, it's going to go up, but they're shedding more subscribers because they're forcing a bundle down your throat. And their bundle, it doesn't have great new content, and that's their growth model. I just don't get it. If that's your growth model, I just don't like Disney because stocks trade on growth, and I don't like the fact that they didn't raise estimates. So, I don't know if you saw Disney, you have comments about it, but again, I just comment about Disney all the time because I know it pretty well.
No, I don't. I always enjoy hearing you comment about the Mouse House. I want to tee one up for you on AMD. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to move on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because as you point out correctly, expectations are what matters, because oftentimes, and I still do this, you look at headlines and you see reports and you think, that stock's probably up or down, and then you could be dead wrong. So Frank, AMD, let me say this. You want to know why 69% growth year over year is trash? It's because that is down from 122% growth. And that is all about expectations, because if you read by itself and say, hey, data center, which is AMD's largest segment, now, according to Capital IQ, it's its largest segment by a smidgen, because basically 28 to 29% is data centers, then 27-ish% is the gaming side. So it is its largest segment. That's a fun takeaway, and it is important. But if I were to tell you my largest segment, Frank, in this massive growth industry is growing at 70% year over year, and you look around and my Florida stock is down 10%, it's because that growth rate is slowing. And that is the key takeaway here. Everybody is still worried about that, not to mention weaknesses in other offsets. So Frank, AMD has kicked us a few times. Are you happy with AMD's report? Is it oversold? Last time I checked, it was down 10%. I don't know what it is right now. Yeah. Is that overdone, or is it justified?
I think it's overdone here. I was very against AMD when we came out with an AI newsletter and said this is not an AI company, because I think it was 40% of their revenue. Now it's, I think, 55%. I think you look at yearly statistics. I went to the quarterly statistics and looked at these divisions, right? Because it matters, because everything outside of AI for chip makers sucks. Everything sucks. Even if you're looking at autos, with EVs, if you're looking at PC, if you're looking at gaming, we just saw EA warned, right? So, we're looking at everything outside of AI. It's been really terrible for these companies for semiconductors. But AI has been companies have more exposure, like the Avagos, which is Broadcom. When you have NVIDIA, right? AMSL, you have some of these that have, more pure plays that are doing very, very well because AI is growing like a weed. Now, you brought up something very, very good about AMD, because what I thought when we recommended, we stopped out of it because it fell a lot. We were right. And I'm like, okay, I think we're there now. And we weren't, because more of a percentage of the sales is going towards AI, their growth, which means the rest of it, gaming and another division called embedded, is also shrinking, right? Which is good. It's kind of like the IBM model, right? IBM, everyone's like, sales are going down. They were switching to services. They were switching to all this stuff with AI, blockchain, all these things that were great in cloud and hybrid cloud, which were high margin businesses. And they were getting out of like the big bulky shit that really just, crushed them, right? So then they became a growth company. Look where IBM is. AMD is kind of trying to follow that, trying to get out of like their shitty divisions, but they just can't right now because they still account for a pretty good percentage. For example, the AI division generated $3.9 billion in sales for the quarter. That's 55% of sales. But if you combine gaming and embedded, it's still 20% of sales for the quarter. So if that's the case, think about your business if 20% of your sales were declining. And when I say when they're declining, they're crashing, okay? You look at their gaming divisions down 59% and their embedded divisions down 13%, coming off of bad declines last quarter and the quarter before. And what did AMD say? It's going to get worse. These aren't coming back. We haven't seen bottom, right? So that's one of the things. And plus, when you look at growth and you say, holy shit, this AI segment's growing like crazy. Remember, stocks trade on expectations. Just like if you look at the cloud revenue growth for, if it's Meta, Google, Amazon, right? Everyone was like 30, 31% growth. If you see 28% growth, it's fucking amazing. But it's not, it's trading at these higher multiples because you're expecting 30% growth. It's a big deal. So when you miss that growth, especially in the segment that's supposed to be killing it for AMD, you're taking a step back. With that said, okay, you're trading at a level right now. And the reason why I didn't like AMD, because I didn't think they were growing as fast. They always had a high multiple. I remember it was 50x, 40x, 30x. It's now trading at 22 times forward earnings. Okay, you're getting to a bottom here where they should announce a massive buyback. Okay, announce a massive buyback, have the insiders buy, and that's going to signal the bottom. That's what they need to do. Because when you do, now you have a company, okay, the expectations are what? The expectations are super low now. We're looking at embedded. We're looking at gaming. It's going to suck. But now if you see growth in the AI portion, which everyone was telling you, AI, they catch up to NVIDIA. We said, don't listen to that. Everyone's full of fucking shit who knows this industry. They're not even close to NVIDIA. They're not even close to NVIDIA. We said that. They're not a pure play. Everyone's like, they're the AI company. It's good. They're not. They're not, and they're still not. They're far away from that. They're not. I don't think they could ever be NVIDIA. I don't think they could ever be NVIDIA. And by the way, I think the CEO is actually either cousins or second cousins with the CEO of NVIDIA. Did you know that? I had some guy in a plane who worked for both of them and told me. I was like, really? I didn't know that.
But that's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
How's your company doing? Great. How's yours? Terrible.
Terrible. Well, it's not too terrible. I mean, it's terrible now. It's
in that world, they're terrible.
Yeah, in that world. I mean, but AMD is now down, what? I mean, the high, I wrote this down someplace. The high was 227. It's 107 right now.
Basically, March of last year, yeah.
But it has a market multiple and growing more than twice the average company S&P 500. I think now this is the capitulation stage. Everyone gets out and you're going to be able to buy this thing. Again, I thought that before. And we put a stop on it. We hit it in our trading newsletter. But we're pretty close. I want to see something that changes this. I don't just want to try to catch a falling knife here. I want to see something. Last quarter, I think it was, or the quarter before, when I saw AI sales accounting for a much higher percent, I just thought we would see gaming and embedded kind of like level out a little bit, and it continues to crash and fall to this whole. Let's see insider buying. Let's see if they announce a big buyback or whatever they need to do. But that would signal the bottom to me. And then you probably see the technicals as this thing rises. But I think we're pretty close to bottom in AMD at a 22 times multiple, and they're growing much faster than the overall market. Again, a stock we hated for a long time. We tried to trade it. It didn't work. But again, you want to hate the stock price, not the stock. Don't hate AMD forever. Now, at 22 times forward earnings, it's you can't say it's expensive stock. For me, I always thought it was really expensive at 200, at 180, at 150. I'm like, holy shit, this thing's really expensive still, even though it's coming down. It's not that expensive now in the 100 area, especially if it goes into the 90s. I think it's a screaming buy. But I want to see some kind of catalyst, some kind of initiation by management to tell me, hey, this is the fucking bottom. We're buying the stock right now. That's what we need to see. Yeah,
insiders are always good to see that. All right, Frank, we got a 15-ish minutes if we want to keep to our hour. Are you ready to get to the most important segment?
The most important segment, the guarantee, absolute guarantee.
All
Just
right,
do the opposite.
let's listen up.
So for my Super Bowl pick, okay, I'm an Eagles fan. Massive, massive, massive Eagles fan. I thought I was going to go to this Super Bowl because I went to the one that they won. And I also went to see my Kansas Jayhawks at New Orleans, the Superdome, which was a couple of years ago, to win. So both times I was there, my favorite team won. And this is also at the same venue, which is at New Orleans. And I didn't go 2 years ago when the Eagles were there, and they lost, which is a game I felt like they could have won. I really felt like they got burned by a call, and I'm not bitching about one of those guys. I really think that you didn't call something all game. The guy was going to catch the pass, and you ruined a really great Super Bowl. If the Eagles got the ball back and they threw an interception and lost, it would have been great. You should let that determine the outcome, not from a penalty flag, which was ridiculous. I mean, the wide receiver just walked off. He didn't even know what was going on. He's like, oh, shit, there's a penalty there? Somebody help me? Okay. I usually break it down because I've been a football fan for 30 years. I'm gonna make it very simple for you. My Super Bowl pick this year is the Eagles. And I'm trying to put my personal feelings aside, which is very hard to do. The Eagles are just better than every facet than them. Okay, yes, you have Patrick Mahomes, who's the greatest quarterback. I think he's going to be the greatest quarterback ever. If you look at his stats compared to Brady, yes, Brady won more Super Bowls. His stats blow away at this point in his career. Blow away Brady. It's really incredible. I hate the fact the guy gets every call. And even last game with the spots and stuff like that, it was ridiculous. And even the game that I saw, even San Francisco, was like some calls they were going to call holding, and they showed it and stuff. I know the Eagles are going to have to beat the refs because that's the NFL's boy. I get it. And I not making excuses there. I'm a fan of Mahomes, but you see it now. Everybody sees it right now. It's every place. You see it. Everyone's posting online. Look at this. The spot was a joke. He was not only that, 2 downs before that spot, they're up by 1.
You're talking about the Buffalo game.
The Buffalo game in the fourth quarter. Okay. They got the first down. They got the first down on 3rd down. And then they were like, okay, no, I got to go. The guy actually was past the 40-yard, and then he made the first down pretty easily. The ref, where the ball, he saw the ball because he tilted where the ball was. The ref on that side was above the 40. The other ref was below the 40. And all of a sudden, that guy just started to walk down like about a foot or two. And they didn't give him the first down. It changed the landscape of the game. And it's not that Buffalo should have won that game, but you played against Buffalo, who's a good team with a terrible defense because they have tons of injuries. Not only that, in the middle of that game, their best cornerback went out. And if you're a football fan and watch that game, Xavier, who's one of the fastest wide receivers, was absolutely 5 to 7 yards open on every single play because they had a guy cover him that either grabbed him and threw him to the ground and got a flag every single time, or he was wide open every play. You're not going to have that with the Eagles. They have 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league. Another thing that I really like about the Eagles is if you blitz Patrick Mahomes, he destroys you. And that's what happened kind of last game with the Eagles. He destroys you. The Eagles never blitz. They almost never blitz because their 4 guys up front get to the quarterback, which means you might see him run a little bit. You might see, Kelsey's probably a good bet for receptions. He's probably going to be dumped to that, try to do screens with Joseph and stuff like that. But when I look at the Eagles, the whole package on offense is much, 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 much better than the Chiefs, just statistically. Their defense also much, much better. Yes, the Chiefs have pretty good statistics, but they're not the defense of the Eagles. The only way the Eagles are going to lose this game is if Hurts has a really shitty game. Last game, he was awesome. He was dialed in. He was throwing darts. If he chokes a little bit, I don't know. He didn't choke last game. He totally outplayed Mahomes. He should have been the MVP of that game because his statistics were through the roof. Not only that, they were down by 8. He drove them down, scored, and got the 2-point conversion for getting the ball back to the Chiefs when they drove the field and got the penalty and they actually just ran the clock out and kicked the field goal. So he's up for that moment. But if he plays bad, because we know Mahomes is not going to play bad, or if they lose a turnover battle, if they just have shitty turnovers, which they had a really bad turnover in that game, that's the only way I see the Eagles losing. But every facet that I see, I'm not just talking about quarterback to quarterback. I'm talking about the whole offense, the offensive line. And you got Saquon Barkley, who's capable. He's got to touch the ball 25 times or more. And I don't care if that screens. If he does, the Eagles really, really have a good team. I don't think they played their best game yet. And if they do, both of these teams play their best game, the Eagles are 10 points better. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's how I feel. With that said, every time I tell my Super Bowl pick, the opposite happens. So maybe I should say the Chiefs. This way I could, maybe the Eagles will win. I'll be like, okay. But, when I look at the Eagles right now, watching them all year, the past few games, they've gotten better and better and better. You went into Washington was really, really hot, and they smoked them. And they just shut them down. And by the way, Washington beat the Eagles before that, but they were smoking them, I think, 17-0 before Hurts went down. And then their defense happened to be on the field like the whole freaking game because they went 3 and out a lot. That's when Washington came back and he threw 5 touchdowns. It was different this time. So when I look at Mahomes, really, really good team, good defense, and they're playing pretty good ball right now. I don't think they're going to be able to put up 30 points on the Eagles D like they did with the Bills D, who's probably one of the worst defenses in the league. They played a great game before that, but when that cornerback went out, they threw to Xavier. They threw it to him like almost every single time. Everything that he did, he either got tackled by the guy and they called a penalty, which was deserved, or he's wide open. That's not going to happen. So the Eagles play their game. I really think they could win this game at more than 10 points, even though I don't think the Chiefs had a game outside 7 points in how many years? It feels like every game is like within 4 points. And then Mahomes, by the way, interesting stat. I think it was 44% of the time quarterbacks on their last drive. It's 44% of those quarterbacks on their last drive, when it comes down to the winning drive, score. Okay, and they score in a certain situation. Mahomes, you know his percentages?
Probably damn near 100.
100%.
Yeah.
So if he has the ball back down by less than 7, and there's 2 minutes left and he has time, the Eagles are going to be screwed. So they better be up a lot in that game because, man, that guy doesn't make mistakes, and he's going to get a call here and there just like he did last time. I mean, they should have kicked the field goal, gave the ball back to the Eagles with 2 minutes left. Again, it was sad. Everybody, even my Chief fans who I love, my friends, were like, that was such a bullshit call, and it would have been good. I don't know if the Eagles would have won. Maybe they don't win. The Chiefs stop them. They get a fumble, interception, whatever. But the fact that you ended that game on that call, which is a call that both teams were holding the whole time they didn't call, it was disappointing. Hopefully you let the players play because you really ruined that Super Bowl, which was one of the best Super Bowls I thought ever. I mean, it was just incredible with both of those teams playing the balls off. So it should be a good Super Bowl. We'll see. Eagles are the pick. With that said, I'm usually wrong with this pick. So we'll see what happens. It's usually the guarantee to bet the Chiefs. But I like the Eagles to win the game, and they're also getting 1.5 points right now. Let's see what the line finishes at before the game. But it will be interesting. I love the fact that everyone in the world, I feel like, is picking the Chiefs because Mahomes. And the only thing, Daniel, I will say this. Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches ever. And he's one of the greatest coaches because I know him as the Eagles, part of the Eagles for a long, long time before going to the Chiefs. He's one of the best at adjustments at halftime. And he did the same thing. Eagles went by 10. He's great. Even last year's Super Bowl with San Francisco, he's great at adjustments. He's amazing. He's unbelievable. So the Eagles are going to have to, if the Eagles play their perfect game, they play a really good game, and they don't lose a turnover battle, I think they win, but they have to play a good game, and you can't give away the ball. If you do, you're going to lose this game. Andy Reid is just fantastic. However, we have a pretty good coach ourselves that went toe-to-toe with him, and I just feel like the Eagles had a very good chance of winning the last Super Bowl. So let's see how this plays out. Just great game all around. It should be a lot of fun. Man, I just feel weird that I'm not going now.
Yeah.
Weird.
So when you watched Kansas, it was in New Orleans. Because when you went to the Super Bowl for Eagles, you were in Minnesota. Yeah.
It was minus 26 wind chill, 25. I actually took a picture of it.
You're tough. You New Yorkers are
Holy
tough.
cow, I'm tough, but holy shit, that's a different level.
Minnesota's a different cold.
And that wind's coming at you. I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is really cold.
Yeah.
But 20 grand. Pretty much tickets like 6,500. They're charging 38% fees on tickets. If you go to Ticketmaster, if you go to
That's higher than the App Store.
Isn't that insane? Yeah. Apple's like, good job. Holy shit. We should raise our prices for the App Store. We have a monopoly on, basically. And Google's like, I don't really have a yes, they kind of have a monopoly, Apple. So anyway.
$8 million for Super Bowl commercial, I read.
Is it really that much?
That's what the headlines were across Fox.
I saw Budweiser commercial. You see, it's really good.
And they said they're going to be AI, a lot of AI-driven commercials. The Budweiser with the singer and the comedian, is that who you're talking about?
No, I saw the one with the
Post Malone, and who's the comedian that does the Trump impression that's so good? He's popular right now. Shane.
Shane McGillis?
I don't know.
Something like that?
But they're both funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
I mean, the one's a singer, but
the Budweiser commercial is really cool because it's it's like the Clydesdale ones. That's all I'm gonna say. If you haven't seen it, you could probably see it. You can see it on TikTok if you still have TikTok. But and you can see it on Instagram or whatever. It's pretty cool. But at least they're going back to traditional ways because it's a really good commercial. It was like, oh, that's a cool commercial. So one of the best commercials I saw. But it should be interesting. $8 million is a lot of money. Holy cow, $8 million.
You want my personal perspective about the Super Bowl and why it's awful is because not awful, just from my perspective, because I'm not a big I enjoy the game. I enjoy the atmosphere. I like what it happens, but it's not my big thing. And the aggravating thing is for a single guy like me, if I want to go watch this game, it's great for everything else, but I can't just go watch the game and chill out because every bar, restaurant, whatever has an event. You have food and it's all good. It's just it's like, man, like if I just want to go try to chill out, watch some of the game, you can't do that. But that's a good thing overall. And I love how all cities. I think that even you don't have to be a big NFL football fan. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not a huge fan by any means, but I do enjoy everything that goes around it. I think that buzz is popular. I'm sure New Orleans, good for them for holding the big event and the buzz around there, even after the tragic events so far. But I mean, it's just good to see the entertainments, the bars, restaurants, and everybody have events and stuff like that. People get excited. You get to root and cheer. It's fun overall. So looking forward to it. Hopefully everybody enjoys that and the commercials. So
no, it is cool. And I tell you something about the Super Bowl is when you look at other sports too. I mean, NBA is just like falling out of bed right now.
Oh, it's awful.
It's just terrible. I mean, everyone's coming down like they don't even pass anymore. They just all shoot 3-pointers. You look at the All-Star game is horrible. And what I noticed is that the Pro Bowl stuff was in Orlando. And the whole stadium was packed. And it's great because the players are actually hanging out with the people. They just, I mean, you have access to them. Seriously, if you're a fan, you can go to a lot of these events and they have,
that's cool.
Even when I went to Super Bowl, they have this whole event where if you buy the package, there's different parties you can go to that offer free liquor and stuff like that. I forgot what the name of the one that I did last time, but I would do it again this time. It's fantastic. Even before the game, which starts at 6:30, whatever it is. I think at 12 o'clock, they had this venue across the street that was open. It was massive. It's like this massive hall. We have, unlimited drinking, and they had concerts going on. And then like an hour and a half before, they walk across the street to a special entrance. So they have all these events going on, which is really cool behind the scenes. But it's when I look at some of the other sports compared to this sport, it's just, I feel like the NFL gets it right. Like you just get it right. It's a party. It's for everyone. Even if you're not really into football, you can watch the commercials, which is cool. It's like this event with all kind of food, stuff like that. I mean, you don't see that for the NBA championships. You really don't see it for a lot of different sports. I love the NHL, but still, no, it's not like a party thing. But just compared to the NBA and what, even like the Pro Bowl and things like that, what they're doing in the NFL, it's working. You have access to a lot of people, and even at those events when I went to Minnesota, Daniel, it was really cool. It was like I was throwing the ball around with Kareem Hunt, and you have access to all these players that you're hanging out with. You can get autographs. It's very easy. They have a Legends thing that you can go to too. It's really, really cool that they do a good job with that, especially for the kids. So having access to that is just so much because that's a sport, and I just feel like you don't really have that with the NBA often. So should be a great Super Bowl. I know it's still a few days away. I'm really excited. I'm going to be watching it at my house by myself because nobody wants to be around me. I can tell you when I'm watching the Eagles, especially in a game like that, especially last year because holy shit was I pissed that they made that call. But listen, I'm okay if the Eagles play a good game and the Chiefs beat them. I'm okay with it. Please don't give it away with a fucking call. Don't ruin the Super Bowl. Okay. You ruined it. You kind of ruined the Buffalo game with that freaking bullshit call. You're constantly doing this with this guy. Please just let these guys play. Let them determine the outcome. That's all I care. If the Eagles lose because of that, that's fine. I'm fine with it. Really, I'm fine. Just don't ruin the game again off of some crazy bullshit call. Like if you help him up, if you help Mahomes up after you push him on the floor, they'll call a penalty on you for roughing them. It's just let these guys play, man. They deserve it. Let the players play and let them determine the game. Don't let the refs determine the game because I just feel like the last couple of Super Bowls, that's actually what happened. Hopefully it doesn't happen this Super Bowl. And I think they're well aware of that. So call it fair both ways and everything will be fine. Hopefully. And we'll see. And hopefully the Eagles get this win because they deserve it. They play really, really good this year and they look really, really solid. So we'll see. If they play the best game, they both play the best game. I just think the Eagles are going to win this game and I think they're going to win pretty easy. They better be up by more than 7 if the Chiefs get the ball back, but it should be pretty cool. So that's a prediction. And then that's it for us. Tomorrow, listen, we're going to break down lots of earnings, right? There's a lot of companies reporting. I want to break down Chipotle tomorrow. Really worried about that company. I just think, another company that's relying on pricing power, not growth. And you're starting to see that. My daughter went to Chipotle the other day and she went to get sodas and there was no lids and there was no ice and she had to wait like 20 minutes for chicken. This has been happening to us and we don't go to Chipotle as much, but almost every single time the experience there is getting progressively worse. I don't know if the CEO is going to be able to turn that around, but you're talking about a stock like AMD that's trading at ultimate premium valuation. And they're warning that, hey, we're not going to see the growth that we saw, which is they're opening up tons of stores. This way they could show like really strong growth. They're not going to be able to show that growth. And now they're kind of lowering it. So I'll break that down. Google, I'm going to really dig into as well. Ford's reporting and Hershey. I can't believe if Hershey reports a quarter tomorrow morning that stock's not going to be up because it's just the expectations are so low. Although Palantir expectations are high. And that stock blew it out of the water, right? So that stock went up. So it should be interesting. We'll cover those stocks and have our new pick tomorrow straight from Daniel, which is really, really cool. So it should be awesome. But we'll see you tomorrow, Wall Street Club Unplugged Premium. And questions or comments, we're here for you. FrankCurzioResearch.com. Daniel?
Daniel at CurzioResearch.com.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Love this episode of Wall Street Unplugged? I think you'll really love Wall Street Unplugged Premium. The Wall Street Unplugged Premium is my members-only podcast where I dive even deeper into this week's events. Well, I'll do even more than tell you what's moving these markets. I'll tell you specifically what moves you can make today. So this is going to be about trading. Put big money in your pocket right away due to the inconsistencies I see daily in the market. I'm talking about specific investment ideas I'm recommending and tracking each week that I believe will be impacted directly by everything I just talked about today. Plus, you're going to get the chance to go even further down the rabbit hole with me and my co-host, who's Daniel Creech, as we discuss which of these week's trends could turn into massive windfalls. Could the big trends that we see lurking on the horizon, also the news we're picking up from our network of insiders, which has gotten bigger and bigger thanks to you and so many people listening to this podcast in over 100 countries. And you get a chance to talk to me directly in my special Ask Me Anything Q&A session. All of that and a lot more, like premium interviews with world leaders in finance, technology, industry, and politics. This is all part of Wall Street Unplugged Premium. And becoming a member is super simple and super cheap. So head on over to WSUoffer.com to check it all out. Sign up today and you won't miss a thing. That's WSUoffer.com.
Wall Street Unplugged is produced by Curzio Research, one of the most respected financial media companies in the industry. The information presented on Wall Street Unplugged is the opinion of its host and guests. You should not base your investment decisions solely on this broadcast. Remember, it's your money and your responsibility.